Deep beyond the Poconos, where New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania merge along the banks of the upper Delaware River, lives one of the most fearless warriors in the history of the pro-life movement. At the age of 74, Joan Andrews Bell is still fighting. She's been arrested more than 200 times for sit-ins and rescues at abortion mills. And now she faces federal charges and a possible 11-year prison sentence. But she is not afraid.
Everything in life is in God's hands. And there's this beautiful prayer. I have it in my little, I have two apostolates, Gloria Dei and Companions of Jesus. And the main prayer we say is, Jesus, I want to do your will in the way you will it, for as long as you will it, because you will it. So how can anything bother us, right? It's all God's will. If we're persecuted, we accept it as God's will, that we can give him honor and glory, and we can show love for these little babies and do reparation. Because Jesus doesn't want anyone to go to hell. He didn't want the abortionists to go to hell. He doesn't want Biden and government officials who are pro-death to go to jail. To go to hell. They should go to jail. But anyway, that'd be good for them. God bless them.
Joan's remarkable life path veered drastically 49 years ago, when the 24-year-old Tennessee farm girl first heard that the United States Supreme Court made the killing of unborn children a constitutional right.
I was overwhelmed by shock, and because I had studied about Nazi Germany as a preteen and teenager and knew how horrific that government had been, even though it was a country that had been Christian, it was a Christian country, Catholic and Protestant, and that had horrified me when I studied it. And here, I always believed America was a moral country, a Christian country, a decent country. So I was in total shock and very upset because it's like we had become Nazi Germany. And that was the first shock. The second shock was I didn't hear anything from the churches. I didn't hear from the pulpit the next Sunday at Mass, or daily Mass, that this had happened and we have to do something. We not only pray, but we have to say no. We have to resist it.
Immediately called to action, she scraped up bus fare from Nashville to Chicago, where she arrived penniless with only a small sledgehammer.
Instantaneously, I just knew that when I died, I could not face God unless I did everything I could to try to save my little brothers and sisters who were now being allowed to be murdered, under sanction of law, false sanction of law. So I figured I'd be spending the rest of my life in jail. And immediately was, because these are human beings, these are my little brothers and sisters, it's not an issue. I'd have to go to where the killing was going to take place, or was taking place, and I planned to go at night when no one was there and get into the building and disarm the murder weapons with a blunt nose, a little sledgehammer, those little things, and smash the machines.
She would go on to spend a total of more than 6 years in prison for abortion rescues, including one sentence resulting in 2.5 years solitary confinement.
I did get claustrophobic at times, That was in Florida. Sometimes the air conditioner usually was broken and it was very hot. And I had a tiny cell. I could take 4 steps in one direction, 2 in another, and that was it. And I couldn't see out the window because they had it painted out. And I faced a bric-a-brac wall where they put the tray. And so I did get claustrophobic at times. But when you thank Jesus for everything, it just leaves you. That panic, that claustrophobia, when you think, thank you, Jesus, for this little bit I can do for you. And you think of the babies when they're dismembered alive without an anesthetic, And you say, this is nothing, Thank you, sweet Jesus. When you thank him for anything, it just makes it absolutely durable, makes it okay.
It's incredible because after we were married and we were at the March for Life, for the first several years, young couples with children would come up to us, and the March for Life, 100,000 people, hundreds of thousands of people, and out of the crowd, couples would come up almost every year for several years and said, because I heard you talk, Joan, about how evil contraception is and how it's against God's will to prevent children. We have Jamie here, and there were some Joans, and there was Johnny, and over the years, we've within the past year, somebody called up about their daughter who they had because of Joan, and how she's doing. It's how many people have that kind of impact?
Joan's uncompromising witness has inspired decades of pro-life activism and activists.
I want to tell you a funny story about Joan. Joan and I got arrested together here in Washington, D.C. And I told the police who arrested her she's non-compliant because she identifies with the children who have no rights. And they didn't quite understand. So when they let go of her, Joan completely went down to the ground. No, and listen, they tried to put her in 4 jails around the District of Columbia, and no one wanted her. She's an inspiration, and you know what? It is the sacrifice and passion and faith of Joan Andrews. When Roe v. Wade is overturned, people like Joni, that's why we're here.
Joan is a hero. She spent years in prison and in solitary confinement for protecting unborn babies. She is incredible. She's a mentor to me. She did our first rescue with us, and we all have Joan to thank for her courageousness, her incredible bravery, and her example that she continues to set. She has not stopped. She has not retired. She has not taken time off, except when she's been incarcerated. She is going full speed ahead to save babies in her capacity every single day. I love her.
She's like the matriarch of the pro-life movement and pro-life activism for sure. And she has been such an encouragement to me personally. In times when I was down, times when I was discouraged, she would just say to me, like only she can, "Randy, God's hand is on you. You're anointed. Randy, God's hand is on you. You're anointed. You've got such a gift. Keep it up, Randy. We need you. Keep fighting, Randy." So I love her dearly, and she is an icon of courage, of determination, of clarity, of unflinching, unwavering devotion to the end goal. If we had 100 women like her, 100 men like her, we would have outlawed child killing a long time ago.
Joan, how do you respond to people in the pro-life movement who are critical of rescues, people who go into abortion clinics?
So those who criticize rescue is totally nonviolent, is loving the babies, and I'm not going to judge their reasoning. I'm not going to judge, them. I just disagree with them,
Joan, when you're not in prison, you go to Mass on a daily basis. Why is that so important to you?
Because it gives grace, it gives sanctifying grace. And then Jesus himself, to receive God himself, who humbled himself, to come under the appearance of, bread and wine. And it's God himself, body, blood, soul, and divinity. God himself enters us. I mean, why wouldn't we go every single day? In fact, how can we bear not even be in the church for the rest of our life every minute?
Joan, many in the pro-life movement are really anticipating that Roe v. Wade is about to be overturned. What is your message to those in the movement?
It is, please don't give up. I don't think it's over. Because as my husband says it better than I do, more succinctly than I do, it's just the beginning. Because it could easily become a civil war. You have one state abortion-free, one that murders, It's the beginning, and we have to pray as hard as we ever have, work as hard as we ever have, and do everything we can to protect these children in whatever place that they are in danger in our country.